Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So this video is going to focus on Julius Malema, and it's not going to focus on the sentence of 5 years of direct imprisonment and the fact that he has been granted leave to appeal. Most people know that by now. What I want to focus on is what he said after the court case was done, because a couple of minutes after the court case he went onto a stage. Of course they sang "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer," but what is really problematic here is the fact that Julius Malema once again insinuated that the judge is somehow linked to AfriForum, that she is a racist white person, that she is ugly and that he is sick of looking at her face, and then saying that there's this invisible hand that is controlling the justice system. And then of course the attack on AfriForum that was non-stop, but also the most important part of this video, which is the attack on the state's prosecutor, so much so that the NPA came out and released a statement which potentially could mean more trouble for Julius Malema, because once the NPA releases a statement on their own, you know that this is trouble brewing and something is definitely going to come of it. But before we get into that, please be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything and it'll be greatly appreciated. And you can do that by just clicking the subscribe button below. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do before we get into what he actually said on stage is just to hear what Julius Malema said a couple of years ago when the ANC was not dealing with a situation in which people were discharging a firearm in a public space. So let's have a listen to that.
In eThekwini, playing with guns in an environment which is highly, charged. We cannot afford that. If the ANC is serious about dealing with people who are killing people here, the first step will be to open a case against those ones who are caught right-handed on a video playing with firearms. So we hope the ANC.
So this is in his own words. He said he saw somebody on a video playing with the firearm and discharging it, and he himself then many years later did exactly the same thing. So wouldn't it then be obvious that he follows the own advice that he gave to the ANC and hold himself accountable? Because there's video evidence. We've seen the court videos. We've seen the court statements with regards to what went down. And it is very obvious that he did discharge more than one firearm, but the one that was caught on video was him with the semi-automatic. This wasn't some evil plot to overthrow Julius Malema. This was his own actions. And AfriForum put pressure on the NPA to prosecute this because they knew that it would be a successful prosecution. And the evidence in that is in the sentence and the guilty finding of Julius Malema. But now Julius Malema wants to act like it's white people that's trying to derail his political career, put him behind bars and kill the EFF as a political organization. But everything leads to him discharging the firearm. There was no white person that was whispering in his ear to do that. There was no invisible hand that was attempting to do that. It wasn't the judge whispering in his ear. It was him. He decided at the EFF birthday celebration that he wanted to discharge a firearm. And now he doesn't want to take accountability for that. Now he wants to blame AfriForum, a racist judge. He wants to blame the invisible hand. He wants to blame the prosecutor. He wants to blame everybody but himself for his own actions. Now, what does that tell you about a political party leader and a politician that is a member of parliament that can't even take accountability for his own actions? It speaks volumes. And it once again just illustrates that Julius Malema thinks the world owes him a favor. It's never ever Julius Malema's fault if something goes wrong. It's always everybody else's fault, even if he is the one that came up with the idea and then executed it. It's an evil, racist white person. It is invisible white monopoly capital behind the scenes. It's a racist judge. It is just absolutely absurd. But what I want to focus on is what he specifically said about the prosecutor that will more than likely lead to him being taken to court once again. And this is not going to end well for him.
The only thing we need to do is to make sure that this prosecutor, who is arrogant and suffers from a short man syndrome, is taught a lesson. And we can only teach him a lesson by sitting on his neck and making sure that he is prosecuted and is arrested for lying to court and is disciplined at work for exercising the powers he doesn't have.
I mean, this is a clear-cut case of intimidation and threats of a state prosecutor. Now, you all know how many prosecutors have been brutally murdered in this country over the last couple of months, actually, but of course over the last couple of years. I know of 3 in the Eastern Cape alone that was brutally killed because they were involved in cases. And of course, you know, we kind of can insinuate what's going on behind the scenes. But yeah, once again, somebody that should know the power that they wield. And he is just like acting like he is just a normal person without a following, without people that will hang on his every word and take an instruction if the need arises. And he knows this. And that is why he said it. And ultimately what happened was the NPA came out with a statement, and it is quite damning. Let's have a look. Alright, so this is NPA releasing a media statement on the 17th of April 2026, and it says NPA condemns social media threats against prosecutor in the Malema case. The NPA has noted with concern the circulation of content on a social media platform X purporting to represent the EFF, in which statements contain serious threats directed at a prosecutor involved in a matter before the Gouws Regional Court. The NPA strongly condemns any form of intimidation or threats against its prosecutors. These officials serve the public by representing the state and are constitutionally mandated to execute their duties without fear, favor, or prejudice. Threats against prosecutors, whether perceived as credible or not, must be treated with the utmost seriousness and reported to the relevant law enforcement authorities for investigation. Such conduct undermines the rule of law and poses a real risk to the safety and lives of those entrusted with upholding justice. This concern is heightened in the Eastern Cape, where 3 prosecutors have tragically been killed over the past 2 years, underscoring the very real dangers faced by members of the prosecuting authority. The NPA remains resolute in its commitment to safeguard its prosecutors and ensure that they are able to perform their functions independently, safely, and effectively. Prosecutors are officers of court, and a threat to a prosecutor will attract consequences, and anyone must desist from whatever form of threat against them. Issued by the NPA national spokesperson. Now, this is serious trouble for Julius Malema, because the NPA wouldn't usually come out with such a hardline stance if they didn't understand that somebody was going to report this and then they would have to prosecute it. So the fact that the NPA came out with a statement regarding this and then pretty much opening the door for people to go and lay a complaint means that they are very eager to take this on. And I did a little bit of digging, and I'm looking at it now, and he could find himself guilty of Section 11A of the Intimidation Act 72 of 1982. And the penalty is 40,000 Rand, that can go up to 400,000 Rand, and a direct prison sentence of up to 10 years. Now, whether it is a direct threat or intimidation, it doesn't really matter. So the fact that the NPA came out with a statement like this, opening the door for people to just go and lay a charge, because if a charge is laid, then they have to investigate it and they can decide to then take this case on. So once again, Julius Malema's arrogance is going to cost him a lot of money, more than likely taxpayers' money, or at least EFF donors' money, and then he could potentially face another court case in which he can be found guilty and then sentenced to direct imprisonment. So ultimately, what this just clearly indicates is that after you are handed down a 5-year jail term, you would think that you would humble yourself a little bit, knowing that you are going to appeal this and you want to at least appear a little bit remorseful because the video evidence is there. You lied to the court by saying it's a toy gun and then saying it could have been blanks. You just blatantly lied. Called the judge a racist, saying that the courts are captured and that there's an invisible hand controlling it, saying the judge is ugly, and then threatening the prosecutor. And you think that everything's going to just work out dandy for you. This is what the arrogance is of Julius Malema, in the fact that he knows that he is guilty, but he is just too arrogant to admit it. And ultimately, his arrogance has once again led to a potential another court case and potentially having another direct jail sentence as a result if he is found guilty. So well done to Julius Malema. At the moment, it seems that Julius Malema is his own worst enemy, and we all know what they say about your enemy. You never interrupt them when they are making a mistake. And that's pretty much all I got to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel. Remember, it's absolutely free. Don't forget to share this video far and wide. And if you enjoy my content and if you enjoy this channel, you can give a super thanks. You can do so by looking at the $ below and choosing an amount. And thank you for that. Or you can become a member to this channel by clicking the join button below. And that comes with its own perks. So click on the button and see what you can get. And that's pretty much all I got to say, everybody. Till later. Cheers. And peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I went my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I went my massacre. My massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say I went my massacre.